My youngest sister just had a baby and our mom came to help. My sister and her husband live in a tiny apartment with no room for my mom. I agreed to let her stay with me since I live only 8 blocks away. It's walkable. I plan to Uber her over in the morning and pick her up after work. I only eat 1 meal a day during the week, supper. I have coffee for breakfast and some fruit for lunch. On Saturday I treat myself to a good breakfast. On Sundays I take the woman I'm dating for brunch. My mother decided that this was unacceptable. She got up early and went through my fridge and freezer to make me breakfast. I told her I appreciated it but didn't usually eat breakfast. She said that was stupid. I clearly told her that she was welcome to eat anything in my home but to please not make me breakfast as it was a waste. She made breakfast the following day. I walked out without eating it. I figured in the worst case scenario I could eat it for supper. She threw it out since I didn't eat it. I told her once more to please not waste my food. She made breakfast long. Even my dad called to ask me to change my mind. I said no. He had to drive up and rent an Airbnb close to my sister because my mom was too scared to stay alone. He's retired, so he didn't miss work or anything. My sister came over alone to talk to me. She said I was being a complete idiot and that I could afford the food my mom was wasting. I said I could, but that I didn't want to. She literally used up 2 months' worth of my food. She made up huge breakfasts that I didn't even eat. I keep all my bacon in individual servings. She thawed out 3 for every breakfast, 1 for her and 2 for me, and I ate 0. My father has asked me to let her back in. I said I would do so under the condition that she understand that my food is entirely off limits to her. She can pay for her own food. I said I would make room in the fridge and freezer for her. She said I was being ridiculous and petty. So my dad is staying neutral, but my mom and sister think I'm an idiot. My girlfriend thinks the whole thing is hilarious and refuses to get involved. So, am I the idiot for kicking my mom out over breakfast? Not the idiot. It sounds more like your mother was initiating a power play and that she would have continued wasting your food, which she knew bothered you, but that was the point, until you capitulated. Then she would have won. You throwing her out was inconvenient, so you had to be the bad guy, but that wouldn't have been necessary if your mother had been reasonable. People tend to take the easier route, and asking a reasonable person to capitulate is much easier than asking an unreasonable person to be reasonable. I'm pretty sure that the rest of the family bends to this behavior of hers just to not have the drama she goes into. Entirely too common. Now she can sort out her living situation herself, since she clearly doesn't care to show some respect to you when you've kindly let her stay with you and already tried to explain your issues, which she refused to listen to. The dementia comment was gold, by the way. What would they say if you bought her a nice gentleman to date when you visited her house? She doesn't need one or probably even want one, but you've decided she doesn't get to decide for herself, so you will keep doing it. Maybe you should find a nice girl for your father too. Of course, that would be ridiculous. So's your mother. She's boundary stomping. And your girlfriend is one smart lady, amused and smart enough to say it's not my circus. My sister gave birth to my nephew in January, and she gave him a name that I dislike, which is Philip. The two of us have always been so close, and we always swore we would be honest with each other when asked. That has always been our relationship. We feel it keeps us close and stops hard feelings because if we don't want to hear something, we just don't ask. There's never been a time I didn't want her honesty, so I'll ask her anything, looking for an honest answer. My sister is a little more sensitive. There's nothing wrong with that, but I get her not asking everything if she feels it would hurt her feelings. She asked me what I thought of the name because, according to her, I was the only person who didn't comment about loving the name. And I'm not saying every single person she meets compliments the name, just that those in her and her husband's circle did. So, 2 weeks after my nephew was born, she asked me if I didn't like his name. She said my reaction was very muted and it made her wonder. So I was honest and told her I didn't like the name, but reassured her I loved my nephew very much. She asked some more questions, which I answered honestly, and I was even open about names I would use for my future child when asked. My sister joked that finding a topic we were so opposite on, our taste in names, was weird, but she was glad we'd talked. I didn't think any more of it. Then, a week and a half ago, my sister's husband made a sarcastic remark that he was surprised I would spend money on such a nice gift for my nephew. I ordered a custom blanket for him that has his name on it when I don't even like the name. My sister told him to stop and apologized to me for his reaction. He grumbled and she grumbled back at him. Then he got me alone and told me I'd made my sister cry when I told her I disliked my nephew's name. He asked me how I would like it if she'd said that to me, and I told him I would expect her to be honest if she did dislike the name I picked for my future kids, and I asked her the question. I said we don't lie to each other, and it's been that way since we were kids. He said he had no idea what kind of name I would like if I dislike Philip and if I dislike the middle name too, but it takes a special kind of crappy person to tell a new parent they dislike the name they chose for their kid, and he said I broke my sister's heart, which should make me so ashamed. I spoke to my sister after that and apologized for upsetting her. She wanted to know where I learned it but answered herself before she finished the question. She apologized to me and admitted she was upset but should have known better than to ask the question, that I didn't go out of my way to give feedback on the name, and she knows herself better than that. She apologized to her husband again and told me not to listen. But then her husband contacted again and told me my sister was trying to spare my feelings. So, am I the idiot? Geez, why does brother-in-law keep bringing this up? What exactly does he want you to do? Since you've already given your sister your opinion, and if you tried to take it back now, she'll know you're not being truthful. What outcome does he want? He's deliberately stirring the pot. Your sister is not upset with you, but her husband seems determined to cause problems. Brother-in-law's feelings are hurt by you not liking the name, so he also wants to hurt you by telling you that your sister's feelings are hurt. It sounds like you're respecting the name. Getting a blanket with the name on it is a nice gesture. And you and your sister are good, so ignore brother-in-law. You are not the idiot, neither is your sister. This is one of those awkward family moments that a bit of love and grace can help heal, as long as brother-in-law stops picking at the scab. I disagree, you are the idiot. Yeah, honesty is good, but it's not always necessary. The kid already has that name. It does literally no good for you to tell her you don't like it. You could have just lied and said it's a nice name and nobody would get their feelings hurt. Philip isn't even a weird name. There's no reason to express a dislike for it, especially since this wasn't a baby name discussion pre-birth. It's his permanent name now. In the future, consider the emotional impact of your honesty, especially on significant personal matters. I, 35 male, wife, 33, inherited a large chunk of her late father's sizable estate. She made it very clear that the money she inherited was supposed to go to her dad's bloodline, also known as her and our children, young female teen, male tween, that I'm not entitled to a cent of it. We live in North Dakota, and I made $52,000 a year doing a property management job that I hate. It gets old driving around dealing with tenants who take their frustration out on me because my boss decided to cut corners. My wife worked as an accounts payable clerk, making $32,000. She hated her job because there was no growth and it was boring, but she held the job to show her dad she was responsible. Her dad died, and now she inherited a 5-bedroom mortgage-free house in another state. It's in one of the most HCOL areas near a private college where nearly all the students come from East Coast private schools. She rented out the house by bedroom to students and gets $6,000 monthly when it's all said and done. The rest of her inheritance is locked in a trust, paying $15,000 monthly. Living in North Dakota, the approximately $252,000 she gets is more than enough to live well. However, I feel my wife has been unfair with how she's handled the money. Right away, she rented herself a BMW. And then she decided she was done cooking and would order out every day. The problem is I have high cholesterol and a lot of the foods aren't good for me, and the foods that are good for me, she never leaves enough actual leftovers. I can stomach the fact that her inheritance is hers. Still, it does hurt that I've never resisted picking up the financial burden when I earned more, but she hoards all her new money. She put her inheritance disbursements and rent income into accounts under her name while our day job incomes went into joint bank accounts. That would make sense, but then she quit a job out of the blue last week. She said she looked at her boss, 50 female, and was not cut out to work until she was old like her. She wants to pursue her photography passion, but doesn't want to earn money from it. So she quit. But the problem is that she quit because she gets $250,000 plus, basically effort-free. I don't benefit from that, but I still have to pay for the mortgage and other household expenses since she refuses to pay them, citing them as joint expenses. We got in a fight and I threatened to quit my job too if we were all quitting jobs now because work is hard. Her rationalization was that she buys takeout daily for us now, so my job was enough to pay our mortgage. I asked if she wants to upgrade houses like she upgrades cars, and I'm guessing the new house won't be in my name. Will I have to pay the maintenance and contribute to mortgage payments? She said I should have to because living expenses would benefit me just as much as her. Am I the idiot for being annoyed at her selfishness? Edit. It's not so much about me wanting to upgrade my lifestyle, it's about her saying that her contribution to the mortgage and other household expenses, besides the takeout, is now zero since she has no job. I will have to carry 100% of that burden while she enjoys her inheritance. She also said that I should keep my job because if I get sick, I'll need it to pay medical bills since she refuses to use her inheritance for that either. Excuse me, what? She just told you you're on your own if you get sick or injured. She wants the joint expenses to be fully paid from the joint account, which you're paying into, while the $6,000 in rent payments goes into her private account. Sounds to me like that should count as joint income while the trust fund's monthly payment remains inheritance territory. So probably not the idiot because I think you're getting the short end of the stick here. There's no way I would stay married to someone who treated me like that. Does your wife expect you to pay the entire mortgage because that is joint property and she doesn't feel the need to put her money into joint property? Did you read that right? Inheritance is separate property. Legally, you don't have a right to that. If she's that stingy, I suggest putting all my money in a separate account so that you can control how your salary is spent. And if she's that transactional with her spouse, maybe I just look into getting a divorce so that she can Scrooge McDuck all on her own. I'm a wife and mom with a substantial trust and future inheritance. She is not behaving the way anybody would be if they were happily married. I honestly cannot imagine ever parading wealth in front of my husband, but never letting him enjoy it, benefit from it, or factor it into our future joint plans, such as retiring. I don't feel good about how this will end for you, OP. Take care of yourself and start thinking of a backup plan. For context, I, 21 female, live with my older brother, 31, who lives near the university I attend. We were always close despite our age gap. He sadly lost his wife 5 years ago in a car accident. They had 3 kids, a male tween, a younger female tween, and a young male grammar schooler. Since then, my brother has thrown himself into his work, and part of the reason I wanted to live with him was to help out with my nephews and niece, who, due to our ages, are more like younger siblings to me. My brother has never shown any interest in dating again. He's told our family many times that he doesn't plan on remarrying or moving on, especially to our mom, who's always trying to set him up with some friend's daughter or another. She's been visiting for a few weeks now. When my brother came home from work last night, we sat around for a bit after the kids went to sleep. My mom started with her usual asking if there was anyone new in his life, which there wasn't, and then moved on to the, "I know you still miss her, but it's been so many years. Your poor kids are so sad because they don't have a mother. Don't you think that you should do something about that? Anjali's daughter has got her blah blah blah," and she just went on for a bit. It was very uncomfortable, and I could see my brother didn't want to have this conversation again. He got up and excused himself. She turned and asked me what was wrong with him. I told her that she needed to stop acting like such an overbearing harpy and that this is why he hasn't moved back home and she needs to stop pushing this on him. She yelled at me for not thinking of my niece and nephews and wanting him to die alone. I said that at least I was thinking about his feelings and not a new wedding to plan. She went upstairs upset, and later my dad also called. I guess she told him what happened, and he said that I was very disrespectful, that my mother was just trying to look out for my brother, and that I should have just stayed out of it, and that she was really hurt. Now I feel bad because I know she means well. My words may have been unnecessarily harsh, but I don't know. Living with my brother, I've seen how much he misses and loves my late sister-in-law, and my mother's insistence just seems cruel. My brother tells me how this bothers him, but he's given up trying to tell our mom. Am I the idiot for telling her, or should I have minded my own business? Not the idiot. Your mother needs to let a 31-year-old grown-up live his own life and make his own decisions. He will move on when he wants to, if ever. Her pushing him makes him dig in more. Any man should understand this. I would talk to your father. Ask him if he believes this is helping his eldest son, because from your perspective, she's just making things worse. Ask him what he thinks, not what his wife thinks. Keep an eye on Mom. She may try to convince the children that they need a new mom to pressure the son into dating again. This isn't the 1920s. He doesn't need a new wife to care for his kids. He can do it alone. Also, OP, you're a fantastic aunt and sister for stepping up and helping him. Honestly, no matter how you said it, she wouldn't have liked what you said. Maybe this will be the kick in the pants that she needs to stop harassing your brother. Fingers crossed. Yeah, your mother is a complete harpy. She needed to be told. Your dad told you to stay out of it, but your mom dragged you in by asking your opinion. You had every right to give that opinion, but you should also tell your mom and your dad that you know more about what your brother needs than they do because you are there. Right now, the kids need love in the family, not tension because grandma can't quit fighting with their dad and aunt.